gentlemen, those who happen to be viewing this later on online, we are Yare Group. I'd like to thank you for your time for attending and listening to us give our presentation here. My name is Shane Smith. I'm the business analysis of Yare Group.
I'm Brad Mitchell. I'm the database architect.
I'm Zach Duncan. I'm the web developer.
Ian McGuire, project manager.
All right, and if you go ahead and open up the folders you got, you're going to notice on the left-hand side we've got our agenda for today. On the right, we have some attached resumes for you to peruse through. As for the purpose of this presentation, the purpose of this is for us to display ourselves to our members for employment and possible hiring, and we're going to do this through facilitating and showing you guys the actual application and software that we have done through our SharePoint site and how it can be used as a meeting for your business communications. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Brad here.
All right. In the beginning of this project, we were unsure of the premise of the project itself. We thought we were going to be creating a theoretical business and utilizing SharePoint to help a client out with certain problems that they had. What we learned was that we were actually learning SharePoint itself and how to utilize it in the business processes throughout a company's use. Communication breakdown is one of the biggest problems that companies face. Misinterpreting what somebody said, misplacing a file, misplacing a document. With this site, we tried to bring everything into one central location so there was less miscommunication, and we wanted to build, with stronger communication, you build a stronger relationship with your client and who you're working with. So that was an important fact for us. With the site itself, we tried to keep it as simple as possible. The more complex you build the site, the less user-friendly it becomes. You don't want to waste time looking for a document, looking for this, looking for that, when you can actually spend that time working on what you need to get done. A big component with the communication would be...
It's still on my screen. Go ahead and move a little more.
There you go.
There it is.
The alert system. You can set an alert for pretty much anything you want, whether it be a task, a document, something going on at update. This keeps everyone on the same page. That way, somebody that's working on something, you may be out of the office and they update it, you don't know until you get back and speak with them. This is direct communication to mobile, email, anything that you want. The alert can be sent as an email or to your phone. With this project, it was, you speak with your family and your friends immediately. You send them a text, and nowadays communication is with a tap of a finger, a click of a button. So why not bring that into your business process and help everything run a little bit smoother? And the alert as well can be sent to anyone. You could have different alerts for just your employees and just the client itself. But with this pretty much just builds a stronger presence in the client and company relationship. And I'm going to pass it off to Shane to speak about the learning curve.
All right, so with Yare Group, if you hire us, there's going to be a couple things that we offer. I'd like to first go ahead and talk about the actual learning curve that we're going to help you to reduce with the business that you have. If you already have SharePoint or if you wish to implement it with your group. With the SharePoint, it's an Office product. It's very similar to the Office Suite 2007, 2010. You can sync it, you can upload it, you can download it, access it on your computer, use the same functions, Word, Excel, MS Project. But there are little issues that we have. Well, not issues, but navigational variances. And that's where we're really going to help you out. We're going to make sure that you're going to understand how to set up your workflows, which my counterpart Zach will be getting here in the future. We're going to be able to talk to you and help you so you actually got your alert systems in there. And we'll be able to guide you through your actual projects that you are putting up on your Word documents. Now, being that in this project, a major component of this is actually communicating, but also sharing on a pretty much instantaneous basis the documents that you have. So here's a couple of examples in which we upload it. But it's really simple. An individual can go ahead, they add their document, depending on the actual access that you give them to it. Simple, just any standard internet access that you've done. You browse it, you upload it, you can upload multiple files or folders onto there, and then that becomes instantaneous uploaded with the workflows that you have preset or set into your actual system. So here's an example of one that we've uploaded for our group. This is our change management plan. And you're able to easily access this. This is just one that I synced up from my personal computer. And you can end up editing it in browser. Additional functions that you can do with this is, a lot of problems that you may think you may have, you don't have. The SharePoint takes care of it for you. If you check this function out, which is an option that you have with here, nobody else will be able to edit it, though. They will be able to view it. So you can make sure that you don't have cross work being done, and which leads to rework. You'll be able to understand who's got what documents checked out and be able to get them back into the system. And that facilitates the actual, work that you're going to be doing. And that's one of the aspects that we're going to bring with you, is getting you to this process and many other processes that my other counterparts are going to be going ahead and discussing here. And I'd like to go ahead and just back over to the home page here. Show all content. And I'd like to go ahead and once again mention, by hiring our group, we're here for you. We're going to facilitate your actual mission, what your goals are, and we're going to be able to help you get what you want in a timely manner to be able to cut down on the human capital, the rework, and anything that you need regarding the site. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off over to Zach here.
Once again, I'm Zach. I'm the web developer. And a common question, if you ask anybody in the business world, the top problems they face, and always in the top 5 things they say, is communication. You probably know this yourself. Communication, communication, communication. And the old way of doing things, you would send out an email, a phone call to a single individual. And the problem that creates is noise between going one person to the next. That's why we have those Friday meetings to make sure everybody's on the same page, and Monday meetings to make sure everybody's on the same page at the beginning of the week. With permissions and workflows, we can now upload a single document onto SharePoint or multiple documents and control who has access to view, edit, or even just see the document. And what's nice about it is it's very simple. You can actually set up full groups and control groups at once. So for instance, this is Yare group right here. This has all 4 of us. We all have full control over our site. Let's say we had a few more employees that we don't really want them to have access to let's say the calendar or even more personal information, say HR stuff. We could actually restrict them the way they can't even view it, or where they could just see it and not edit it. So it's taking out that miscommunication that many businesses suffer through right now. And this is something we've become, I would claim, experts on. Now, another important thing when using a program like SharePoint to cover multiple businesses is customization. If you're using SharePoint for your business, it's going to be something all your employees are going to be looking at least an hour or 2 a day, whether they're editing documents or just looking at Excel sheets. And what we found is, it's hard to see on the projector, but you can actually edit and make it customizable to represent your business. For instance, our colors are dark blue and light blue. We were able to change this, like I said, it's kind of bleached out, to a light blue, and add our own logo to it. So that way, when you go to the site, it represents us. It doesn't represent just Microsoft products. So when someone goes into it, they know who's in charge of it. Now, another nice part is it's customizing. You could go fairly in-depth. So when you first start this, and it's just a blank slate, you have, for instance, a courier font, which in web design is not widely accepted. So, for instance, on our site, I changed it to Georgia, which 52% of all websites use, simply because it's easier to read and you don't get tired of reading it as fast. So it's just an example of how customizable SharePoint really is. And for me, a final touching note on my side is I would like to go into what Yare Group actually is. Most people probably never heard of that word. It's actually an old English word. It's pretty much dead. But what it means is nimble, quick, effective, and prepared. And with SharePoint, I believe that's what we are. With this, I would like to pass it off to Ian, our project manager.
Alright guys, I'm going to be going over our dashboard. The dashboard is basically a centralized location, a centralized overview of important project information. For For your company, we could customize that based on stakeholder and project needs of whatever it is we're working on. For ours, we included the information that was most important and most relevant to us and our needs in this project. So we've included an overview of our project plan, which shows the summary level tasks, and that can be entered to another page within our site to look at the rest of the tasks. We have our calendar, which shows tasks, any meeting dates, as well as major milestones for our project. Down here, right under that, we have an overview of our risks. And next to that is our key performance indicators. In my opinion, the most important feature of the dashboard. Along with that, we have the visual indicators to show at a moment's glance which areas of the project are requiring further attention. Very important and very easy for a project manager to be able to look at this. The first three indicators we have are number of active tasks, unresolved issues, and overall completion status as a percentage. The three of these are important throughout the entire duration of a project. They can be monitored very easily with the dashboard setup and compared back to the project plan for any discrepancies you may have. The final one, survey completions, that is just one we showed for another function of performance indicators. Let's say on the last deliverable, only 3 out of 4 of us had completed our surveys. The entire group, all 4 of us, would be able to see that from our dashboard and be able to berate Shane until he completes that survey. So it was very important for a project manager to have that information readily available. With that, we believe you should hire your group now because we're available. We're ready to work. There are 3 of us are graduating seniors. I'm a junior who's going to have summer off between semesters to work on future projects with another organization. In the last 6 weeks, we've learned this tool and its business applications, and that's been under the constraints of spring break, full class loads, and part-time jobs. So we have the graded results to show we've done a great job putting together our site and learning the functions, and we believe we could all be of benefit. So with that, I'd like to conclude with our group name and definition. Once again, we are Yare.
We are nimble.
We're professional.
And we are employable. At this time, we'd like to thank you once again for attending, and we're going to go ahead and open up the floor to any questions you may have.
That was a great job, you guys.
Who's this? I have questions. If you had to redo the project later on, what would you change?
We would have definitely figured out a little bit more with the workflows and functions with them. It would actually, we ended up having a decent amount of rework, if you can. A lot of the projects which we had previously had started doing, we had test pages where we uploaded our resumes and getting used to it. And we started to include our actual project documents. And those were the ones that I showed you, like the risk management plan that we had going on here. The problem is we had them initially set up and without any of our actual workforce built into our program. So when we went and tried to actually, start integrating those into our actual 360 site, we ended up running into a lot of complications. And that actually was a good experience because we got to figure out how to do it. And then we ended up learning once we got those preset in, once you upload, that automatically helps and performs the workflows that you put into it. That would be the one I would do.
Did you guys actually take advantage of the, when we came on site, did you meet with, like, Nick and stuff?
Yeah. Well, you want to take that one with the phone conversation?
Yes, every week I was in contact with Matt from Kiefer Consulting, and he was very helpful. Every week he had notes, we came prepared with questions for him. Just a lot of it was regarding site layout. That was kind of a lot of the points in the actual competition. But early on, we did have questions about, what is exactly we're doing, and Brad mentioned scope definition was a little bit of an issue starting out, but through weekly communication with Matt and Nick was around to meet on site, I believe last week.
I think as well, in the beginning, the week that we had off, pretty much, we were able to navigate and kind of get a feel for the tools that we were going to be working with. One of the problems that we faced was actually the uploading of things. We didn't want to do just the basic, you had the pop-up for the deliverable. We wanted to go in depth and kind of, you can do more than just what's in front of you. So additional linking, we tried to have as many documents as we could, unique identifiers, but that's all stuff that you find out later on in the project. But I'd say in the beginning, it's all about self-exploring and figuring out what you're actually working with. So that's probably what I would change is just diving in a little bit harder.
I would also like to add one more item. We did get to actually have an opportunity to meet with Nick in person. He came, talked to us during the library. That was in between the third and fourth deliverable after our spring break, and gave us a lot of really good information and kind of a breakdown and review of what they've noticed on our site, what he's noticed, some suggestions and ideas, and gave us a little bit of more of an in-depth perspective from their side on how the flow and how you guys view and what the expectations were for miscellaneous. And I like that. I would, if I was to make a change, and I don't know what your guys' availability, I might try to slot up just a one-on-one with each group in that initial break period to kind of give them a more in-depth guided tour after they get to play around with it on their own. And that would, I think, definitely help on the learning curve with employee or us.
Yeah, so one of our biggest problems we faced until towards the end was actually adjusting IE permissions. We didn't realize that was blocking us. We kept thinking it was a problem we were doing in SharePoint when it was just a simple browser change, adding an exception in the security log.
I have 2 questions. First, you sold me on SharePoint. Sounds like a great tool. What did you do unique within SharePoint that you can point to as a differentiator for your company? Or what are you most proud of?
Let's take it one at a time.
I'd say as far as the layout and the appeal, the simplicity of it, we didn't want to, you can sit here all day and link everything and have everything organized, but when you have things that are simple, it gets the job done in the best way possible. I think that we are pretty straightforward with our site, the layout. There were some configurations that we had to do rework on, some adjustments. But overall, I think that our organization and our layout makes it simple for us to do the job for the client and attend to their needs.
If I was hired on, a lot of things that I would do is, like I was talking on earlier, is I'm going to help with that learning curve, but I'm going to make sure key mistakes don't happen that are going to cause rework, cause deletion, cause even deletion of the site. By adding the improper actual access to key items within your companies, items that you can go back and get access to them, but it's going to take you a lot more time. I'm going to make sure that they're properly set up and that everybody understands how to actually properly understand them, and that, well, reference to an incident, we're not going to accidentally allow you to delete your website.
So my second question is, why SharePoint? In other words, let me clarify that.
This one? Okay.
And if you were looking at the goal of the project, why wouldn't I do this on another platform or simply in HTML?
So I would say the #1 reason is everybody at high school, everybody at a college is trained in Microsoft Office. Excel, Word, they have a basic understanding, 2007, 2010, ribbon setup. And SharePoint allows really cutting that learning curve of learning a new program. Because it works well with Excel, PowerPoint, Word, or Microsoft Project, you can dive directly into actual work without learning new programs again. Where this really helps out is formatting, especially if you're just doing editing inside the browser. It really represents Microsoft's other products. So, biggest thing, it's going to cut cost and training.
I just have one question about your team and teamwork. Your presentation was really good. It seemed like you worked well together, but you mentioned some rework, which we experience out in the real world all the time. So give an example of an incident that did have to be reworked, and did you have communication or disagreement amongst the team, or did you have anything like that where you had to kind of come back together and come up with a solution?
The biggest thing was, I think, in the beginning, or the week before spring break, we front-loaded to get through. And all of these documents actually, I went through to set up the workflows and link everything together, and we weren't able to actually have the old documents onto the current workflows. Shane had already left, and I had left town, and they were still in Chico, so we were finding the most immediate way to communicate together to get the problem fixed. I think communication was the biggest thing immediately, and not procrastinating on getting something done. But as far as that, I tried to leave an email, send a text message, and on the actual site in the communication log, so that anywhere Shane was, that he was aware of re-uploading the documents to get him back on track.
And another thing that was actually a key item that really helped us facilitate communications, team actual understanding, the ability to break down, task organize, and set up who's going to be doing what, is that not only did we have team operating agreements, but we all come from a business background, and we made sure we actually had the background agreements and plans and projects, methodologies preset. We had our team values, our meeting guidelines, to what the standard, what we expect, and in the event that we actually had an issue, we had an acceptable, when everybody agreed upon it, methodology to reprimanding somebody within the group, which we get along really well when we didn't have much of a problem. But by having these preset guidelines for our management plan, our scope change plan, our actual operating agreements, our lessons learned, we were able to easily follow along the group decided practices and procedures. And that, I think, helped us a lot throughout our project, is that we had those established in the beginning.
One thing, I think at least 3 of us are project management majors and learn through education is front-loading everything. And I think that really paid off in this assignment. We mentioned a few times spring break. I think we were in 3 different states, but we still had a bulk of our assignments due. Because we were able to pre-plan and get everything done early, it didn't really affect us. We were able to work around these kind of speed bumps that I think most people would really have a hard time with.
So did you, since this was an extracurricular activity, how did you manage this project differently than a typical class project? A typical class project, you probably have you work through the whole class project and you give your final presentation. Nobody sees anything. This was more kind of progressive scoring, progressive deliverables. So we could kind of track to see how you were doing along the way. How did you work this any differently?
We tracked it as most we would for any actual project system. We had our preset, not only milestones, goals, but we had established those, and that was really helped with Kiefer, how they had their preset deliverables. But to be able to meet those deliverables, we had to do our actual background and build-up information and have our early date deliverables and information for them. But by us all having a general understanding of how that system and process worked, just were able to easily jump into it. And we created a nice, easy flowing MS project, which we synced into the actual SharePoint. You can check in by actually looking down at the subsequent items, and it's just managing, monitoring, and actually ensuring that we meet the deliverables that we put forth for our group.
And to add on, as far as actually doing the work required, because we were in, we all have classes and different jobs and duties, we really did a lot of the work on our own and just communicated which tasks, we assigned tasks and roles and accomplished it that way. And then we'd have very brief meetings or call each other to do a lot of the communication as far as questions or moving on to the next step.
Because of our unique schedules, a lot of the times our meetings are late at night or through VoIP systems.
Did you use Skype or something?
Yeah.
You could have used the link as well. That was in there too.
Do you guys want to show the video that you thought was the best, and kind of explain what the videos were?
Do you want to just explain the one we got up?
Yeah, just like on my app.
Is this your homepage, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're gonna send
Oh,
them.
that's fine.
There we go.
Yeah. Why not?
Good evening, Tech fans. We got a special edition of March Madness with here Brad Mitchell from the Yare group. In the Final Four bracket, our problem we faced was dashboard versus formatting and importing and exporting versus technical issues. In the first battle we had here on the dashboard, the formatting issues were simple. Should we go with the 2-column or a 1-column? We needed to know which one was going to be more effective. Overall, we went with the 2-column. That gave dashboard a win. Right here in importing and exporting, they faced some technical issues. It was a simple security matter. We went in, adjusted the ActiveX controls, and boom. Importing and exporting got the win, and we then uploaded the contact list. Now here, the lessons learned. Dashboard is the first thing that you see when you're on the SharePoint site. It's a great representation of what's going on with your project and has all the information stored right on one page. Importing and exporting is kind of a piece of the puzzle. Here, you have simple pieces, the spreadsheets that are implemented into your libraries, whatever you choose, project documents, and that's just something that you throw on into your dashboard. It's a piece of the puzzle that ultimately builds the big picture, which is the dashboard. So right here, we have dashboard going with the most important part of the project. Game summary. Now this week, we worked hard together, balanced out our strengths and weaknesses, because our issue was the bye week, spring break, a lot of communication errors. But your group, we're quick, nimble, and effective. We stuck to the game plan and front-loaded before we left. That way, when we came back, simply got the project done in a matter of minutes. 4.5 out of 5 is our level of knowledge. There's always room for improvement here at your group. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Brad Mitchell. See you next week.
Any further questions?
No, thanks. You guys have to kind of step out for a minute and we'll
Sounds good, thank you.
Hopefully,
tell
feedback.
everything.